This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
It's precisely 1:15. This is the news on Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News is edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Sabrina Zawahir. First, the headlines. There is a great risk of the spread of the Delta variant in the country. State Minister Ajit Niwad Cabral says that if the country is closed, the result of it will have to be faced by all. Economic centres will be open from tomorrow. The organic fertilizer needed for the country will be produced. Red alert has been issued to nab 24 persons involved in drugs and crimes. And in world news, Brazil hits 500,000 deaths amid critical situation. Now the local news in detail. Specialist Dr. Professor Chandima Jivandra of the Sri Jawadhanapur University says that it is a dangerous situation, the spreading of the Delta COVID variant in the country. It can affect the pets in homes. It has been confirmed that 2 lions in the Dehiwala Zoo have been affected with the COVID-19 virus. It has also been reported that several animals in India were infected with the virus. Therefore, special attention should be paid on domestic animals at home. There is a risk of the spreading of the Delta COVID variant in the country, as currently 70 countries in the world is infected with this variant. State Minister Ajit Niwad Cabral says that if the country is closed for several months, the result of it will have to be faced. He pointed out that closing the country is not a good thing and it will affect the country's stability. Therefore, the country should reopen in order to increase the stability and economic situation of the country. The government has spent a large amount of money to eradicate COVID pandemic in the country, so that parliamentary approval should be taken for the allocation of finance to eradicate this menace. The government's aim is to target the economic development in 5.5% economic growth this year. DIG Ajit Rohana says that although travel restrictions is lifted tomorrow, the Special Police mobile, cycling and walking operations will be implemented. He said that the people should act according to the health guidelines. State Minister Dilum Amunugama says that plans have been made to operate limited bus services at the provincial level after lifting the travel restrictions. Limited train and bus services will be operated according to the health guidelines. He also stated that the buses operated for essential duties will be operated during the next few days. 17 trains will be added for the service. Additional Secretary of the State Ministry of Organic Food, Vegetable and Fruit, J.M.A. Douglas, says that a decision has been taken to open economic centres for 3 days from tomorrow. This news is brought to you by Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Get your EPF loan information and service details via SMS from HDFC Bank.
Continuing local news, the Public Estate Development Board has initiated a program to produce organic fertilizer in their own estates from yesterday. The board has 16 estates and overall extent of land is 2,800 hectares. Minister Mahindananda Alutgamage said that the President has taken a policy decision on behalf of a country free from poison. He said the organic fertilizer will be used for other crops as well. The government has taken maximum measures to provide fertilizer for farmers. Several benefits have been received for the people in Latugala in Ampara under the Gama Samaga Pilisandarak program. Accordingly, 26 new houses will be constructed for the low-income families in the area. The residents in the area were submitted their problems to the President, who arrived at their place recently. Therefore, it has been decided to construct 82 houses by the Housing Development Authority. That ends local news. The main news story follows.
Now, get your EPF loan information and service details via SMS from HDFC Bank. Wherever you are, being a state and private sector employee, to obtain EPF loan information and service details, just send a SMS mentioning EPF space, name and region to 0718 800 999. HDFC Bank, the bank for your home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Red alert has been issued across the Interpol to nab the 24 persons who fled to foreign countries that was involved in drug rackets and for various crimes. Among them, there are 13 drug racketeers and organized crime gangs. 2 such persons have already been brought to the country. That was our main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In Watchlight, the University Grants Commission says that another additional 3 days will be provided for the students who could not submit their application for university entrance until the 23rd of this month. This concession will be given considering the travel restriction period. That came to you in Watchlight. Next up, it's the world news. Taking a look at the headlines of the world news. Brazil hits 500,000 deaths amid critical situation. Israel voices grave concern over Iran's new president Ebrahim Raisi. UN Refugee Agency says record number of displaced people despite COVID. Now the world news in detail. The number of deaths related to COVID-19 has passed 500,000 in Brazil, the second highest in the world. As experts say, the outbreak could worsen amid slow vaccination and the start of winter. The virus continues to spread as President Jair Bolsonaro refuses to back measures like social distancing. The Health Institute Fiocruz says the situation is critical. Only 15% of adults are fully vaccinated. Congress is investigating the government's handling of the pandemic. Israel has said the international community should have grave concerns about the election of Iran's new president-elect Ebrahim Raisi. A spokesman for Israel's foreign ministry, Leah Haiti, said Mr. Raisi is Iran's most extremist president yet. He also warned the new leader will increase Iran's nuclear activities. Ebrahim Raisi was declared the winner of Iran's presidential election yesterday in a race that was widely seen as being designed to favor him. Mr. Raisi, who will be inaugurated in August, is Iran's top judge and holds ultra-conservative views. The UN's Refugee Agency says the number of people who have been forced to flee their homes around the world has risen to a record 82 million despite the impact of the pandemic. The total has doubled in a decade and means more than 1% of the world's population is displaced. The pandemic has led to a significant reduction in asylum applications and overall migration, the UNHCR said. But the 11.2 million people displaced last year will still be more than in 2019. Many were forced to flee because of the persecution, conflict, violence, and human rights violations. That ends World News. Prior to concluding, the headlines of the World News once again. Brazil hits 500,000 deaths amid critical situation. Israel voices grave concern over Iran's new president, Ebrahim Raisi. UN Refugee Agency says record number of displaced people despite COVID. With that, we conclude the world news. Next up is the development news. Taking a look at the development news, a 2 million rupees financial allocation has been made for a Grama Niladari division to implement road development projects. State Minister Nimal Lanza said that these projects will be implemented covering 14,022 Grama Seva Niladari divisions. Special attention will be paid to develop small roads. That was development news. Next up is the sports news. Taking a look at the sports news, Registration of players who will participate for the Lanka Premier League tournament will commence tomorrow and it will be in effect until the 28th of this month. Several foreign players will also participate. Meanwhile, Sikuge Prasanna, who participated at the Pakistan Super League tournament, is expected to arrive in the country. Members of Uganda's Olympic team have arrived in Japan to start gearing up for the Games at their training camp. But their preparations suffered a setback when one person tested positive for the coronavirus at an airport quarantine station. The Ugandan squad is the second foreign team to arrive in Japan. The Australian women's softball squad arrived on June 1st. That was the sports news. Next up is the business news.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business news. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
The weekly fair in Angunukala Palasa will be modernized to enhance the products of rural entrepreneurs in the Mahaveli Valava zone and in the Hambantota district. The government will spend 2.3 million rupees to fulfill the local demands within the country. The aim of this move is to upgrade the rural market for farmers. That ends Business News.
Business news. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news. Courtesy of
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
State Minister Shehan Semasinga says that an agro-product village will be established in Nikatuwava village in Katagasdigilia with all facilities under the Samurdhi Saubhagya Production Village program. The objective of this move is to enhance the livelihood of the farmers' families. That was Economic News.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
Finally, it's a look at the weather report. The Met Department says few showers will occur in western, central, Sabaragamu and northwestern provinces and in Gaul and Mathura districts. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere. Wind speed will be up to 30 to 40 kilometers in western slope of the Central Hills, northern, north central and northwestern provinces and in Hambantota and Trincomalee districts. The wind speed may increase up to 50 kilometers per hour at times in these areas. That was the weather report.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
With that, we conclude this bulletin of news, and prior to concluding the headlines of the news once again, there is a great risk of the spread of the Delta variant in the country. State Minister Ajit Niwad Cabral says that if the country is closed, the result of it will have to be faced by all. Economic centres will be opened from tomorrow. The organic fertilizer needed for the country will be produced. Red alert has been issued to nab 24 persons involved in drugs and crimes. With that, we conclude the news.